This is Jonathan Aghoff here for Pro Boxing Fans. Delighted to be joined by matchmaker, promoter extraordinaire, Al Siesta. Al, good to see you. Good to see you over Zoom, as is the way of the world right now. But how have you found the last 7-8 weeks in lockdown?
Man, first of all, thank you for having me. My regards. Weather is fantastic. It's been nice, blissful 8 weeks. I'm taking some positives from this pandemic because I got to spend some quality time with my family. Because as you know, I'm always traveling, always on the road. So I'm kind of revitalized and got to perform my fatherly and husbandly, what do you call them, duties properly. I mean, stay with my family. I'm really, really delightful. But I've got itchy fingers now. So it's time to go to work again, because family needs to eat. And I have to provide. And the boxing, the only thing I know. That's the only life I know. Do you remember that song? So, yeah.
How much work has been possible sort of during this period? You're always involved in getting fighters on shows. I guess it's been quite a sort of reflective or quite a different period.
Very reflective. I mean, I read so many articles and watched so many YouTube videos, probably enough for the future lifetime, And there's not really any work because there's no shows, lots of speculation. And as I kind of said earlier, there's so many topics you can create for people to be interested because there's nothing's happening. And there's all speculative fights. And what annoying is this historic so-called what-ifs all over the Twitter. What if Hagler would fight this guy against Dinosaur or things like that? You know what I mean? Or Gorilla would fight Mike Tyson. Some weird stuff. I mean, that's what it is. Try to work, keep in touch with people, see what's going on with various businesses and in terms of what fights being made and what shows. But it's only very few that will be continuing in the next few months. I can see. So big promoters will be staging behind closed doors, obviously, and smaller promoters will wait for the chance for the crowd to come back, basically, with a small hole. So I'm kind of in the middle between small hole promoters and big promoters, I can imagine, only because I can match and I can promote and I can advise. So hopefully business will return to my home pretty quickly,
How will your role change in terms of you're involved in bringing fighters over to the UK, but with the travel bans, etc.? I suppose that's not going to happen for the foreseeable future. So how does your role change in terms of that?
It's changing drastically, and I think it's a positive change. I know why, because I'll be honest with you, I felt a bit comfortable. I kind of got into this false sense of security comfort zone when I knew that every event, for example, with Matchroom, I would bring few opponents and kind of secure some payday and continue kind of working on the profile, enjoying my boxing. It can get monotonous. And the most dangerous thing about this, there's no progression in life. So I know the knowledge I possess. I know what I've got to offer. And I think the matchmaking on its own, it doesn't portray all the abilities and everything that I can bring to the table. So I think to get out of comfort zone, this is the most important thing for me, because the best thing are born when you're outside of your comfort zone, as you know. So I want to challenge myself. And as you know, I kind of embarked on promotional game previously. And it was good, but I also backfired a couple of times because I quickly realized that you're not on your own. You've got competitors and people wouldn't like you to succeed. And I'm talking from my own experience. So I'm looking for the different means to protect my business in order to eliminate any outside threat to my business so I can do it perfectly. And I think I found the formula. And I'm very glad, and there are announcements pending. And I soon will be announcing something very interesting that boxing fans, especially hardcore boxing fans, will be especially delighted to hear, because I've got something very special for everyone that I will be bringing in the very near future. So it's been good, man. It's been good. But answering your question, it changed drastically. You know how they say this cliche, the life never going to be the same after pandemic. I think that comes to my matchmaking career as well,
You think, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
I think it will be very different from now on. You know, I need to play Premier League now. I mean, enough matching.
That brings
Yeah.
me on quite nicely to the next topic, which has sort of taken Twitter by storm sort of last night. Obviously, your boy Luther Clay, who you promote. Now, let's start from, I want to get your view on what happened. So, obviously, Luther Clay was supposed to fight Clay-Kongo on the March 28th bill at the O2 Arena, which, you know, like everything else got cancelled. Eddie Hearn has obviously got this Matchroom fight camp, which he's pressing ahead with. And he said that fight was penciled in to go on the Matchroom fight camp. Luther obviously doesn't want to fight behind closed doors, but Chris wants that fight behind closed doors. Just give me your perspective on the whole situation at the moment and how this sort of started.
Well, I'll give you absolutely honest, not opinion, but the knowledge is there because I'm an instigator of everything. And I'll tell you what's going on at the moment. Luther Clay wants to fight Congo, number one. And Luther Clay will fight Congo, and it will happen on Eddie's back garden. I tell you this. But the question is, when I offered that fight to Luther, and I said Eddie is offering Congo fight, so we started to analyze the caliber of Congo and what he's actually bringing to the table. The guy was in no man's land. He hasn't fought past the sixth rounder ever in his life. I don't care about his amateur pedigree. I don't know how good he is, how connected he is, and how well known amongst boxing community he is. I know that he didn't have anything. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? He was down in the dumps, like English say. Then, obviously, he acquires the management from Dillian Whyte. Dillian has big influence because he's, I call it, from one of the golden gooses of Eddie Hearn at the moment. So he's got big influence. So he asked Eddie probably if he can help with Congo, which is fair enough. And what Eddie do? Who is the guy who takes all the fights and never says no? Siesta. So obviously they ask me if Luther would fight Congo. And what was attractive about that proposition is the Avanesian Kelly card. It was big undercard. It was O2 Arena that would have been absolutely packed. It was Sky Television, DAZN, and Russian TV because Avanesian is a Russian fighter. So I thought, what a great exposure. Luther Clay fought on Russian TV many times, and they love him. So I'm killing all the birds with one stone. We've got it all. And in terms of thinking about Congo as a danger man, all the benefits of that fight completely outweigh the risk. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So then pandemic comes around and everything gets cancelled. And look at this. What do we still have? We still have Sky. We still have DAZN. But everything else is gone. So there's no big crowd. There's no O2. There's no Kelly Avanesian. There's no Russian television. Do you understand what I'm trying to say to you? So also there are some interesting factors, very, very genuine factors, such as Luther was ill with COVID-19, which he contracted, I believe, probably from his mother, who worked as a frontliner. But he had temperature 41.5. This is critical temperature. He sent it to me, and I said, you need to call an ambulance. So when he called the ambulance, they told, have you got any breathing difficulties? And he said, no, I feel fine. I just got a headache. So for 1 week, Luther was completely out. But ambulance didn't turn up because they said, unless you've got life-threatening condition, we will not come out because we've got other patients to take care of. So that's what they told. Please keep us informed and give us a call if your condition is deteriorating. So I said, Luther, you probably got COVID-19 because you're a black man, and this virus is very racist, as we know. So because Asians and black people and Mediterranean people seems to be much more affected than the Nordic people. If you look at Sweden and Norway and Baltic states, they pretty much don't have anything. So it's obviously targeting, I think, the particular group of blood group. But do you understand what I'm trying to say? Particular skin complexion. I don't know. I'm a conspiritualist in terms of that. So that's what I'm saying. So Luther didn't feel well, man. Out of blue, 40 degrees, 41 temperature. is so severe. You could die. I mean, I had 39.9 once. I'm almost like, that's it. You're out of it. You're in seizure, you know? So, long story short, he's feeling well. He recovered now. Everything is good, but he has to isolate for another 2 weeks, meaning he cannot go to the gym. He can't train. He can't do any exercise. Additionally, he obviously gained a bit of weight, obviously. And because of the things that happened and broke the flow and momentum with shows got cancelled, he's been a bit down mentally. So with all the factors accumulation, I thought, Al, you're a manager. This is your duty to protect this kid and give him the best chance possible fighting someone like Kongo. So don't be embarrassed to pull him out. When I said to Luther that I want to pull you out, we had a massive argument. He goes, oh, you know, the British fans, I can't do that. I need to fight Kongo, but I need a proper camp. I said, yes, and your camp is not good enough. You will not have good enough and long enough camp for the end of July. Let's push that for Dillian Whyte against Povetkin undercard. Then we will have all those additional factors. Russian TV is back because Povetkin is Russian. You'll have more longer camp. Kongo ain't going nowhere, so he'll be there. And Dillian, being with Kongo, will probably ask Eddie Hearn to put that fight on his undercard. Because in my opinion, Eddie, forgive me, and you know it, Dillian Whyte, Povetkin, and Luther Clay against Kongo, probably the only 50-50s you're going to have. You know what I mean? They will be very competitive fight, but this is proper dog-eat-dog fight in both. Povetkin Whyte is dog-eat-dog, and Luther Clay against Kongo is dog-eat-dog as well. So we know this is real fights. So there's no reason this fight deserves proper exposure, and I'm grateful to Ed putting on Avanesyan and Kelly, but it's not there anymore. So it's a different thing. So I would like to have Dillian Whyte, Povetkin undercard, Russian television, not to me, but just exposure, and obviously good viewing figures. So I texted Eddie today, and I said, can you put him on Povetkin's Whyte undercard? He goes, Al, not being funny, let's don't fall out over it. If you don't want it, let's revisit it at the end of the year. And I spoke to Luther, and I said, Luther, Ed doesn't want to put it on Povetkin, and probably because he doesn't have a set date for Povetkin Whyte, so he doesn't really know when it will take place. So I said to Eddie in text, give me the third show. Clay against Kongo is on. Is on. Done. So I haven't heard the reply. So I told Dillian Whyte, I told Kongo, I told all his team, the fight is on. Luther begged me. He goes, Al, if you give me the camp till beginning of August, I'm back on. So there's no avoidance. I was the one who was pulling out. And I was, but plus Samuka Mucha appeared out of nowhere, saying all this stuff like, let me eat, and this is good food for me, good food for the champion or for the beast. I wanted to make that fight a long time ago. He didn't want to have nothing to do with that. And I'm ready. If, say, Luther won't fight Kongo for whatever reason, I'll pay personally to stage Samuka Mucha against Luther Clay. I'll personally pay for that fight to be. You understand what I'm saying? So that's very easy. That's all. So the boxing fans and whoever's saying, I saw the tweets, oh, coward, coward, coward. I mean, first of all, it's the wrong word for that. If someone wants to talk to Siesta about being coward, I'm like an encyclopedia of people who's been coward in the past. I can bring some dark skeletons out of the cupboard and people will be really, really embarrassed. So better not to not to open that can of worms, if you know what I mean. We need to be careful with their adjectives when they're talking to us. Otherwise, it's on. 8th of August, I'd love to be the date for that fight. And if Eddie sees this interview, I mean, actually, I've got something tomorrow with Rob Tebbett and Boxing Social, which I'm going to give very broad explanation. Obviously, I'm giving you the thing early. Yeah, so I can't say no. And I think the accumulated messages from all of you guys will reach very broad audience and everyone will know the real truth. So the fight is on.
Okay. You got what I would say first of all is Luther recovered? Is he all right? Because that sounds like he was very ill.
Man, he was really ill. He pudged up as well. He had headaches. He had dehydration.
Mm.
Uh, Man, honestly, I've got the screenshots of the temperature, 41.4. I'm saying, are you sure? Go and change the thermometer. This is mad. In Russia, that's considered to be a critical condition. 41.4, your blood can literally turn into the one lump. It's almost identical to be bitten by a poisonous snake. Your blood goes all thick and stodgy. So he was okay. He's a warrior. You see, he's an animal himself. so
Good
so
to
he
hear.
was okay.
Yeah.
Fully recovered. He's fully recovered. He's got great temperature. The pulse is good. I think he went for a little jog this morning and he felt fine. So we'll be in the camp in 2 weeks, which is taking us to the second week of June. So therefore, there's an explanation why we want second week of August to have a full proper camp. Plus, as you know, probably Luther Clay fought against Freddie Kiwitt without a trainer in the corner. So now we've got Adam Martin, who was unlucky. As they just started to work with Luther Clay in new gym, pandemic arrived. So they never even had a chance to gel. So this is very, very big, risky experiment on behalf of Siesta Boxing to allow this fight to take place, arguably against the strongest opponent Luther Clay been with so far. So that's big responsibility on me. Do you know why? Because if I fail, who's going to be blamed straight away and first? This man here.
Mm.
Do you understand? I don't care. I can move on. You know?
Al,
So that's why
go
we're
on.
taking that. Yes, bro.
Let me ask you
You go.
this: has the situation therefore changed from yesterday's sort of Twitter exchanges? Because you did say on Twitter that Chris could fight Michael McKinson or Paddy Gallagher. So was the issue for you that the fight between Luther and Chris was too early? Was that the overriding issue?
No, no, it wasn't. If that would have been too early, I never would have accepted that fight. Even if Luther Clay would have said, Al, I really want that fight, I never would allow him to do that. Never. And you know what? The good thing about Luther, he's very intelligent and he's very intuitive on the levels where he can step into. So Kongo is, right, okay, what do you want me? Big Kongo up, so make him real incredible fighter. Or do you want me to put him down? So I can give you all the reasons why he's great opponent to fight and why he's bad opponent to fight. So if you put those pros and cons, Chris Kongo is perfect for Luther Clay's next opponent. And therefore, that's why we accepted him. You know? Mike McKinson, in my opinion, much more awkward and unpleasant guy to fight than Chris Kongo. The reason why I mentioned those names, it was like why normal Russian, Armenian, Jewish decoy. I like just to do something off the cuff to wind people up. And the most important reaction I needed to get from Luther Clay himself. He goes straight away on WhatsApp, why are you name dropping? Why are you bringing these people in? I want Kongo. I want Kongo. I want Kongo. I'm thinking, right, I've got you now. The switch is on. The switch is on. Now we can talk.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
we want Mike in the future. And we want Mike McKinson in the future because he's WBO number 5, Luther is number 11, and that's potentially very nice WBO top 3 thing. But that's, I'm just giving trade secrets for the future. There are lots of stuff. Guys, this is multi-dimensional business. I mean, you know what I mean? This, what's on the surface is one thing. So as you know.
no, I think it's important to sort of clarify things. So I think things can get a bit confusing on Twitter. But no, so I mean, what was your perspective when you got? Obviously, there was a few messages back and forth, which is all, I suppose, good for the fight as well. But there was obviously, as you said, there were a few comments about coward. And what were your views on these comments?
Look, I say something interesting. I mean, this is so unsurprising to me and it's so expected. Look, we've been manipulated all our life, aren't we? So it's just, that just shows you where people are. We live with our emotions and we react straight away by our initial spark of adrenaline. Oh, People don't think straight, yeah? But I've got disappointing news. He's fighting Congo. For those who thought he will pull out and then we control him. No, it's all I can tell you, yeah? Chris Congo doesn't even realize remotely what he's in for. Absolutely. That's I can tell you. And that is the situation. So because I'm trying to be kind of not psychological, but observant. And it's interesting how various people react. And when I spot something in the fighter or his team that is very threatening because it's very profound, I would have a second thought of engagement. I haven't had that so far from Congo's team. So I feel safe. Do you understand?
When can we expect any sort of announcement or confirmation, or do you not know that yet?
Only Eddie Hearn knows the date. Only Eddie Hearn knows. I mean, Eddie is the ultimate guy. He's rearranging back of his garden, beautiful residence at Matchroom head office to stage these fantastic shows. He's the one who orders music. Do you know what I mean? So, and he's the one who's paying. So let's see what he says. I told him all we need to say, and we are ready. Third show, we're on.
Brilliant. Well, I look forward to that. I mean, it was going to be a great fight on March 28th. Do we have an even better fight when we see this back on? Two domestic opponents, two guys looking to sort of, launch their assault. Do we have an even better fight, Al?
Man, Luther was in fantastic shape previously. When he got pulled out, he cried like a little baby. This kind of juvenile, his character. He's very proud South African Zulu warrior. He was so disappointed. So that's why I was worrying. I wanted to see that spark. So when that Mackinson Gallagher tweet came out, that anger with the red faces in emojis came on my WhatsApp. I thought, I've got my boy back now. I've got the adrenaline shot into his blood. Do you know what I mean? So he's got motivation now. Man, I know my fighter. I know him since the debut. You know what I say? I've seen that cub in the court. I've seen him being that small, So I know exactly how he works. And I need him to be in the proper mental state to prepare for Congo. Don't get me wrong, Chris is very skillful, lanky, uncomfortable, arrogant, great feet. But that's all the brilliant attributes for us. I want Luther to be in that fight. That's if he comes through Congo, what a great learning curve, isn't it? What a great learning curve. Although Luther doesn't have to prove anything. Congo is the one who has to rise to the occasion and prove that all the hype around him, South London hype, I call it, all that Porsche that talks a lot, he needs to deliver. So there you go.
Do we have any indication on if these sort of shows will be pay-per-view? I've heard the White Povetkin card might be pay-per-view, but is there any indication on sort of the other shows? Or do you...
I don't have any indications. I don't have any indications. The reason being for that, I don't really communicate with Matchroom at the moment as closely as I used to be because there's no foreign opponents. So, I mean, we just spoke recently for the first time when Ed texted me asking if Luther is ready to participate and stuff. So I don't know. I've got no idea. So I don't have any inside information. And I think Matchroom will announce that due course, in due course.
Yeah, I suppose we're also waiting for the government to even sort of allow boxing to resume. So
I agree, although I'm an optimistic individual because every week as pandemic is subsiding, we're much more positive and things are multiplying in arithmetical progression in new legislations, like it's safe to have a haircut now, it's safe to go shopping now, and so on and so forth. And in Spain, I'm really pleased from 1st of July, the tourists that arrive into Spanish airports don't have to self-quarantine. That's an incredible news for us,
Definitely. Final one now before I let you go, and hopefully we'll catch up a bit more in depth later on.
Me on this in this evening, and my pleasure always, and fantastic, man. Thank you very much. Hopefully, in God's willing, we'll see each other soon, and face to face.
Let me ask you one more question now. What do you think? You sort of mentioned it at the start. What do you think of all this talk about possible returns of Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield?
you know what? I was very positive and interested before I heard the sum of money that Mike Tyson requested to fight someone, and that was absolutely obscene. That was borderline psychiatric hospital. So I don't know even how I feel about this fight. I think it's just speculation. I think probably the men are hungry. They need some cash, and they're ready to put their bodies through camps and just reminisce about their past life in order to get some money in. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm interested. And I know someone interested potentially to stage the fight, but not for the money they've been asking. I can't air you the figure, unfortunately, because I promised to not to disclose the information. But it's obscene. Let's say that for that money, you can feed entire hungry African population, which deprives from water and food for a year.
Any clues of where it could be?
Say again?
Any clues of where it could be?
What, the fight?
Yeah.
On the moon. I'm only kidding. I don't know. Honestly, man, I've got no idea. It's insane. It's insane. I don't know. Lots of people, it's 50-50. And there's also, it talks about exhibition fight. What does that mean? Don't hit me hard and I won't hit you hard in return. What is it? Or let's move around. Who wants to pay obscene money for move around? Nobody. We want people getting hurt. We want blood everywhere. We want Quentin Tarantino on the boxing ring. Really.
Absolutely. Al Siesta.
Yeah, okay, man.
No, I appreciate you coming on, giving me the side of the story from your end. And yeah, we'll catch up a bit more in depth soon.
No problem.